Did Canadians see a defining moment from the recent English language debate? Like, if you were undecided, if you were an undecided voter, did something move the needle?
Short answer is who knows. Shorter, slightly less short answer is probably not. Longer answer is this is where we chase our own tails in the media, is when we start looking for defining moments, knockout blows. There's only been one that I can remember in any election debate, which was the Mulroney-Turner debate in 1984. And it basically turned on an issue in which Mulroney was lying to people, i.e. I will be a cleaner prime minister in terms of patronage than you were. So I think, unfortunately, that feeds our desire for narrative, that we want debates to be turning points or pivotal moments or whatever. Usually they are messy, muddy slugfests where one or another candidate may emerge making a better impression on people than others. And so sometimes they can move the numbers, as they say, but as often as not, they don't.
Did the Liberals make the case for them to be reelected? Did the Conservatives make the case that voters should elect them?
I don't think either party has made that case throughout the election, to be frank. It's been and many people have said this, it's been a very arid, empty, trivial election with a lot of small ball matching each other, promise for promise on pretty micro-targeted types of things. I think what these debates can be valuable for is trying to take the measure of the leaders. Who are they? What's their core values? How easily rattled are they on what issues? So, for example, in the French language debate in Quebec, Andrew Scheer did not come off well, particularly on some social issues on which Quebecers are decidedly more liberal than the rest of the country. So that probably hurt him. In the English language debate, my impression is that sort of gets a bit meta, but my impression is that Scheer did better in the clips than he did in the debate. If you watch the whole debate, I didn't find him terribly impressive. If you watch just the clips that the media extracts from it, he was quite crisp and he was able to sort of get across his point quite succinctly. So if people thought he was just sort of a marshmallow and too bland and didn't have enough backbone to him, and particularly maybe people on the right who are angry at Trudeau and want somebody to stand up to him, he might have done himself some good in that regard. I think Trudeau, for the most part, he wasn't as present or as dominating as you'd think a prime minister as an incumbent would be, and he may suffer a little bit for that, but not a great deal. I think, of course, the person who most people said had the best night was Jagmeet Singh.
You can't help but come away and like this guy after this. I mean, he pretty much stole the show.
Well, that's right. And so, first of all, the expectations were so low for him because he had a really rocky few months initially as a leader. So anytime you exceed expectations, you're doing well. And yes, he looked relaxed, he looked comfortable, he looked likable. Again, the cautionary note here is, so what? We're not picking a boyfriend.
He's trying to contrast himself from Trudeau, from Scheer.
That's right.
He's jostling for third.
And obviously, to some extent, is a rival with the Greens. I found him least persuasive and least authentic when he was doing the rote kind of the corporations are ganging up and we're the ones who will clean the house, and it sounded very rehearsed. Where I think he won points is in those moments when he was more relaxed and had kind of nice off the cuff, like even his one-liners. Anybody can say a one-liner that you've been given, but it was more in those moments when he just seemed kind of like a normal person.
Yeah.
That I think he won a lot of points for people. And yeah, so obviously authenticity is part of how we choose leaders. I hope we're not just choosing leaders. I hope we're also looking at what are the platforms and the programs that the parties would bring to it. But it's certainly one part of it, particularly in a position as powerful as the Prime Minister, is you want to know what the person, what makes them tick, et cetera. And so I think from that standpoint, rather than, oh, isn't he nice? I think more from the standpoint of, oh, I got a stronger sense of who he is. I think that's a valid exercise in these debates.
The Liberals are coming off of SNC-Lavalin, Jody Wilson-Raybould, the various pictures of brownface and blackface. How did Trudeau fare with respect to, I guess, juxtaposing all of that's going on?
Yeah, I mean, he skated as he usually does. There was an extraordinary moment when Andrew Scheer said, how dare you have said on the day after the Globe and Mail story appeared that the allegations are false, and Trudeau said they were false. I'm not aware of anybody at this point who still thinks the allegations are false. They may say it doesn't matter because he was saving jobs, but I don't know of anybody who thinks he didn't actually do what he was said to have done in the Globe story. So that was sort of odd. But Scheer certainly went after him early in the debate when he knew that most people would be watching. And he had that extraordinary exchange where he said, "You're a phony and a fraud and you're not fit for government." I wonder whether that was a little over the top. I know people are looking for a fighter, but it just seemed so harsh so suddenly, and again so canned and programmed and planned, that I'm not sure that necessarily did Andrew Scheer his cause well, except insofar as I say, that the perception of him is he's just sort of a blancmange, a marshmallow. If the polling data is telling them that he needed to kind of toughen up his image, maybe it will do him some good.
Biggest, I guess, issue with this debate?
It was just a terrible format. We basically repeated all of the problems that we used to decry with the debates previously when they were run by, quote unquote, the consortium, which was a bunch of the broadcasters. So we put it in the hands of an official government-run, government-sponsored debates commission. What do? First thing they do is hand it back to the networks. So you get a debate that's run by and for the networks. They make sure they each have their moderator in there. So we had 5 moderators, 6 candidates. Questions from the floor, and then because they'd gone over overtime early, then in the last part of the debate, everything had to be hurried up like a hurry-up offense, because they had to meet this arbitrary 2-hour deadline. Why? Because they wanted to run other programs after 9 o'clock. We just persist in treating debates as if there's some kind of novelty or add-on, when in most democracies they have, with some reason, become central to election campaigns. I don't know why we only have 1 in English. We have 2 in French because there's 1 unofficial one. But why can't we have several debates in both languages so that everybody can calm down, we can stop treating them like prize fights, and actually value them as a learning process, that over time, through the campaign, we can learn more and more about what makes the leaders tick, what their values are, what their programs are, and they can be the spine around which we organize these campaigns.